Hello everyone, Coach Carole with you today for more tech tips for genealogy in 2025. Today I'm going to focus on Perplexity. Let's just share my Google Doc with you to see where we're up to with our tech tips for February. Here it is, February 12, using spaces in Perplexity for historical research. We can organise our research by creating these dedicated spaces. It helps to keep sources, insights and discussions neatly categorised and easily found once more. Let's head over to Perplexity and I'll show you the techniques that I use. In my account, I've got it set to the dark mode, which I think is easier to see when I'm using it in Zoom. We're looking at a new thread, which you select by clicking new thread at the top left. And just before we get into the spaces, some things you should note here that you can change. Underneath the link for auto, you can choose from these models. I'm using the Pro at the moment, so I'll click that on. And here under sources for search, you can have each one of these turned on or none of them, depending on what you're doing. So it will search across the entire internet. It can reach into scholarly and research papers and discussions and opinions. So this is a broad range of places where Perplexity can go to find an answer to your query. But let's focus in on spaces. On the left-hand navigation bar, you'll see there's a link to spaces, and this will take you to all the spaces that you will or have already created. You'll see several of mine there, with different names, depending on the type of research the queries belong to. Creating a space is really simple. Click on the plus and then give it a name. And then give it a brief description, something that makes sense to you. You can come back and change those later. And you can give some custom instructions, things that you want it to be able to do without you having to tell it all of the time. And then you'll continue and it will create that new space for you. It immediately puts you into your new space, as you can see by the heading here, ready for question, which becomes a thread. These are the terminologies that we use inside Perplexity. In your space, you can also add files, things that you want it to be able to use when you are looking at specifics. Perhaps they're detailed documents that you have from your family history research. You can add your files here. And you can also add any specific links, such as your own domain, perhaps your blog or your web page. And it will be able to use each of those in its answer for your queries. So that's how you set up a new space. Let's go to the library next. Because one of the things that you can do with, say, some of your older conversations or ones that you haven't yet put into a space, categorize them. Perplexity allows you to do that. At the end of this thread, there's a plus button, which allows me to add to space. And these ones are to do with theatres of war, which is this one down here. I don't yet have an icon for it, but I'll show you that in a moment. Same for this one. I need to add that to the theatres of war. Just come back up to the top. And so now my recent threads are associated with my spaces. So all kinds of spaces can be developed here, and you can give them a little emoticon or an emoji to help identify them. Let's go into this option here under the three dots, where if you've had it sent to the wrong space, you can swap the spaces. All right, let's go to the theatres of war and add an icon. Under the three dots, which I hope you can see, perhaps it's covered up by my avatar, but you can go to what we call edit the space. And on the right-hand side of the title, there is an option to add an emoji. That's by plus sign. Gone into slow-mo. We'll just wait for the internet to catch up with it. And here is a list of emojis that I can use, smileys and people, or we might want to search for something specific. I don't know that any of those work for me, but for the moment, let me just put that one in place. And it becomes the little emoji that you see when your Spaces page is open. Anything I change here, I need to update. And now it has a new emoji. One of the other things it will allow you to do when you're in a thread of conversation is to choose particular sources for your search. And for the moment, it's only got the web. So if I want to now add academic scholarly papers, click that button. If I want to add social discussions and opinions, click that button. And at the bottom, this space also includes the files and links associated with it. And then you can go ahead and ask your question. Something simple like that one, it can handle quite easily. It has a vast database to go to, and now we've given it several sources to look into as well. And I'm looking for details of prisoner of war camps for the soldiers in World War I. Activate that. It will go through that process of searching, summarising the details, bringing up the sources, and giving you an answer. All of these sources can be linked on the right-hand side so that you can see them all. There are several, 34 sources about prisoner of war camps for World War I. The answer is extensive and comprehensive and is set out in easy-to-read paragraphs in dot point style and segmented into key themes. And of course, at the end, you can always ask it related questions. One of the best pieces of research that you can use with Perplexity. Focusing on spaces is a good idea to help you with your family history research. I do advise that you have a look at the way in which you can organise your research with Perplexity into spaces. Be back with more tech tips for February real soon.